Welcome to Jank Play TCG. My name is Landon and here we play Jank. Today I want to talk about Lugia VStar. Lugia has been the topic for quite a while now, at least it feels like quite a while. About a week ago from this going out, Tord Retclev won the Latin America International Championships with Lugia VStar. And I've got the deck pulled up here in the edit area. It's an awesome deck, really well built, and functions really well. I've played a couple rounds with it to test it out. But what I actually want to talk about today are the counters to Lugia VStar. Lugia VStar is very difficult to counter for many reasons. Most of all, Dunsparce. Dunsparce has an ability, colorless Pokemon in play, both yours and your opponent's, have no weakness. So, if you're in a Lugia versus Lugia match, if either of you have Dunsparce out, no one has any weakness on Lugia. So, it makes it very difficult to kind of counter Lugia here. Lugia is weak to Electric, which is the same weakness that Palkia has. So, you would think that any counter that people were playing for Palkia would work for Lugia, but because of Dunsparce removing that weakness, we can no longer count on that as often. It's still a valuable resource, keeping in mind the weakness of Lugia VStar, but we can't really just throw in a 1-1 line of Raichu and call it good. So let's look at Raichu and see why I mentioned that. So Raichu, for a single colorless energy, ambushing spark, 40 damage. If your opponent has used their V-Star power during this game, this attack does 100 more, so 140. If it hit for weakness, doubled, that would be 280 damage. Exactly how much it takes to knock out a Lugia V-Star. So Raichu is one of the best counters for Lugia. You just have to take care of Dunsparce. Now, this isn't the only counter that I've come up with. I have a few more. One of the more popular ones I've seen floating around on the Pokemon YouTubes is Beedrill. The single strike Beedrill. With the single grass energy attack, if your opponent's active Pokemon has any special energy attached to it, it is knocked down. It is a fantastic move, and people use Mustard. Let me pull that up here. Single strike Mustard here. You can play this card only when it's the last card in your hand. Search your deck for a single strike Pokemon and put it onto your bench. Then shuffle your deck. If you search your deck this way, draw 5 cards. It's not only a great draw supporter, drawing 5 cards, but it also puts a Pokemon onto your bench. Nice and easy. The only hoops you gotta jump through is emptying your hand, which can be a little tough, but not when you're playing Ultra Ball, Quick Ball, and all these other discarding cards. So, Single Strike Mustard is a great way to get the Beedrill out. Let me jump back to the Beedrill. So, even though Beedrill is a Stage 2, it's not that big of a deal since you can use Mustard to get it out. However, the issue really comes up that you're only countering decks that use special energy, and you're not countering the Lost Box that we see going on here that uses a lot of basic energy plus Mirage Gate to accelerate energy. So you're kind of a one-trick pony there. That's where I kind of prefer Raichu as a counter. However, you're still not doing great because Lost Box doesn't use a V-Star ability that often. So it's really hit and miss with those. Now, my personal favorite to use, and I've been playing this in a deck, and I've modified the deck several times. It's never been all the best deck out there, but it's a fun one. Is using the Dragon type Appletun with a single colorless energy, thick mucus, 70 times. This attack does 70 damage for each special energy card attached to your opponent's Pokemon. So, against Lugia VStar, as long as they aren't using twin energy too much, which Tord Retclev only uses 2. So, we're kind of good on that. let me go back to Appletun. You're doing 70 for each special energy attached. So if they got 4, that's a KO. That's 280 damage. So that's a pretty good counter to Lugia. It's not the best counter, though. I will fully admit that. I also like playing Flapple. Flapple for a single color of energy 50 times. This attack does 50 damage for each of your opponent's Pokemon in play that has an ability. And Tord Reklev's list has quite a few Pokemon that have an ability. If you can see Lugia VStar has an ability. Lumineon V has an ability. Oranguru has an ability. They usually get 2 Archeops out, so that's 2 abilities there. Punkaboo has an ability. Manaphy has an ability. Dunsparce has an ability. And Radiant Charizard. So really, the only Pokemon that don't have an ability in Tord Reklev's list are Yveltal, Lugia V, and Stoutland V. Now, the best counter to Flapple is not overbenching. And the best counter to Appletun is being careful how you attach your energy so you aren't walking into an Appletun. But the best part about those two is how they work together, because they both can evolve from Applin. And I choose this Applin out of all of them. Single color energy, flip a coin. If heads, during your opponent's next turn, prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by attacks. So even though it only has 40 HP, it has a way to try to survive a little bit longer. So it's harder for your opponent to knock out and take away your possibility of a counter. But that's my personal favorite. Another one that I think a lot more people have latched on to, a lot more people are trying, is Duraludon VMax. Duraludon VMax has the Skyscraper ability, prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by attacks from your opponent's Pokemon that have special energy attached. I have seen Duraludon VMax and Lugia VStar in the same deck even. Lugia VStar, obviously, being able to get those Archeops, being able to get those special energies out, means that you're going to be able to power up this Duraludon to do 220 damage pretty quickly, but also you'll be able to prevent your opponent's Lugia V-Star from attacking you. People have been playing Path to the Peak to try to counter Duraludon V-Star, which is not a bad play because it is an ability on Duraludon, but it's taking a stadium and using a stadium that kind of hurts you if you're not able to get into a situation where you're okay, you know? So, Duraludon is another one. And then, of course, another one that I think a lot of people have also been using, at least were using before the Latin America International Championships, or during them, was Raikou, Amazing Rare. So for a Grass, Lightning, and Metal, this attack also does 120 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. So it's 120 to the active and 120 to a bench, which is fantastic. That's a lot of damage out there. You throw a choice ban onto them, and they are getting the knockout. They are doing 150, doubled with weakness, 300, more than enough to KO a Lugia V-Star. And those are the big counters. Those are the ones that I have found to be the big counters. There is one thing I do want to show you, though. It's a deck that I've been playing around with since Battle Styles. I think Battle Styles, at least. It's been going through so many updates, so many changes, and I updated it just last night, and I've been playing around with it, and I gotta tell you, against Lugia V-Star, it's such a fun and easy list, and it's a little janky too. Now, this isn't the list that I'm going to be playing this week. If you want to see this list in action, let me know down in the comments. Maybe I'll make a video about it and gameplay footage of it. But what it relies on is, of course, the Raichu that we've talked about before. Single colorless energy, 140 doubled for weakness. There you go. We've also got this Bolt Hunt with Defiant Spark, 130 damage. If this Pokemon has any damage counters on it, this attack can be used for 1 lightning energy. And that is the attack we want to focus on. Now it's 130. You're 10 short of getting the KO. But you don't, like Raichu, or unlike Raichu, you don't have to wait for your opponent to use the V-Star power, which is really Raichu's Achilles heel. if your opponent has a slower start, Raichu doing 40 doubled with weakness to 80, or even doing 70 with a choice belt and doubled for weakness 140 is not KOing even a Lugia V. Where Bolt Hunt, if you can get that one damage counter on there, or more, you can be doing 130. And then if we switch over to the trainers, I've got, of course, 4 copies of Choice Belt and 2 copies of Vitality Band, because Vitality Band is not as good, but it still fixes the numbers just enough for Bolt Hunt to do well. And of course, the stadium that we choose to play is Old Cemetery. Whenever a player attaches an energy card from their hand to one of their non-psychic Pokemon, put 2 damage counters on that Pokemon. Now, why don't you play Bog? Let me pull up Bog here. Gape Jaw Bog. Whenever either player puts a basic from their hand onto their bench, put 2 damage counters on that Pokemon. The reason why I don't play this instead of Old Cemetery is this can be played around a little bit easier, and it makes it a little bit more difficult when you want to bench Pokemon. The benefit Old Cemetery gives you is you can bench your Pokemon when you want to, and you don't have to sit there wait to make sure you get the stadium out, so then you bench them. You can just explode on turn 1 because you're playing 4 Great Ball, 4 Pokeball, and the Ball Search Yamper, which is so much fun. Sure, it's flippy and it's a little bit luck-based, but playing Yamper and Yamper and Yamper and getting those resources back and searching again for them is so much fun. You can often fill up your bench turn 1 going first. That's how much fun Yamper is. So that's why I go Old Cemetery, to get that energy on there when I need to attack, not beforehand, and not have to get the stadium so I can start playing my Pokemon and have to wait until then, and it gets very awkward. I've seen that with Zoroark. It gets very awkward, and then they have to play item cards to move around their damage counters to try to make sure that everyone has damage, so they're doing the maximum amount, and that works for Zoroark. I don't think it would work for this deck, mostly because I don't know where there's space in this deck for other things. And then I play, of course, 4 Speed Lightning and 4 Basic Energy. You can only play 4 Special Energy, so I got all 4 Speed Lightning Energy in there just to, draw more cards while powering up my Pokemon. But those are, in my opinion, some of the better cards to counter Lugia VStar. Here, I'll go out here and we can scroll through the deck. So we've got, I didn't talk about Manectric. We got Manectric here to have a little bit extra draw, plus a free retreater. So that's always nice, having a free retreater, and the little bit of extra draw that gives you. So that's my Bolt Hunt deck. I don't think it's the best deck out there. It's purely an electric deck. I've been playing around with the Ball Search Yamper for a while. I really like the Bolt Hunt that evolves into for a single energy, doing a massive amount of damage. Even during the Palkia days, Bolt Hunt never did phenomenally well, but against Lugia VStar, it has been a lot of fun. So those are really the biggest counters I found. I'll go back through the list. That's Raichu, Appletun, Beedrill, Duraludon, and Amazing Rare Raikou. And then I'll throw Bolt Hunt in there, although I don't think that's a good one because not everyone can play it. It's a lot easier to play Raichu than it is Bolt Hunt. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed this, looking at some counters to Lugia VStar. If you have any awesome counters to Lugia VStar that you want to talk about, throw them down in the comments. I'm pretty sure people will... how do you spell it? Oh, yeah. Man. That one. I'm pretty sure people will talk about this Yveltal for a double colorless energy. Discard up to 3 special energy from your opponent's Pokemon. While I don't hate this, it does create an issue of they're going to power up their Pokemon, they're going to be attacking, and then you're going to want to play this down, attach the energy, get into the active, then discard their energy, and then they're going to, yet again, use Archeops to power up their Lugia VStar, attack again, and you've got to keep bringing up Yveltal until they run out of energy. And while I don't think that's a terrible strategy. I just don't think it really fits well with my playstyle, but might for yours. That's probably my last counter, but again, I would set that up with Bolt Hunt as well, where it's not a great counter. It's not something every deck can do, but it is an option. So yeah, that's it for this video. A little quick one here. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this informative, or at least fun to listen to. Please drop a like, subscribe, you know, all that stuff. And until next time, keep playing Jank.